The governor clearly not happy with the structure of the debates, the formats of the debate. Does that mean, I think there are 10 or 12 more on the books, does that mean he's not going to play in some of them?
Well, John, there have been 8 Republican debates so far, 5 since Governor Perry got in. We certainly respect the process, but when you've got 8 or 9 candidates and 30 seconds to a minute, it takes valuable time away from campaigning in Iowa as those elections approach.
Do I take that as he's not going to? Are you saying he's going to look over the calendar and scratch some of them out?
John, there are, I think, 18 more in the planning phases. There's no way that the candidates can do all those debates.
Dana, can Governor Perry afford now, whether you accept or disagree with his point about the format? And it's hard. I moderated one of the debates, and I feel for the candidates, and I learned a lot of lessons myself. It is hard with 7 or 8 candidates up there. But can he afford now that he's at 3rd or 4th in some of these states to start saying, I'm not going to come to your debate?
I don't think that he can at this point. And, you know, I do kind of agree it's difficult to get in a really good soundbite because so much of politics is based on good sound bites. And we have a couple of candidates, Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich, who really understand this. And so they're always prepared with a quick 60-second remark. But it can be very, very difficult. The national scrutiny is hard. But I don't think that Perry can avoid it because the debates is the thing where he's received a lot of his criticism. He's got a great war chest. He unrolled his jobs plan. He unrolled his tax plan, and that's what a lot of people wanted to see. We now want to see how aggressive he can be in these debates and whether or not, because of his performance and rhetorical skills, he can turn this into a 2-man race.
And, Ray, the governor's complaint was that the question seemed to be to get the candidates just to stir it up. That's his perspective. But I want you to listen here. This is Brian Williams asking the question during an NBC debate. This is not a question to ask Governor Perry to stir it up. This is a question about his record.
Texas ranks last among those who have completed high school. There are only 8 other states with more living in poverty. No other state has more working at or below the minimum wage. So is that the kind of answer all Americans are looking for?
Actually, what Americans are looking for is someone who can get this country working again. And we put the model in place in the state of Texas.
And one more example, Ray. Here's Anderson Cooper at our most recent debate asking a question, again, not trying to get the governor to stir things up, but trying to ask him about his record.
Governor Perry, in the last debate, Governor Romney pointed out that Texas has one of the highest rates of uninsured children in the country, over 1 million kids. You did not get an opportunity to respond to that. What do you say how do you explain that?
The fact is we have a huge number of illegals that are coming into this country, and they're coming into this country because the federal government has failed to secure that border. But they're coming here because there is a magnet, and the magnet is called jobs. And those people that hire illegals ought to be penalized. Admit you lose all of your standing, from my perspective, because you hired illegals in your home and you knew about it for a year.
Forgive me, Ray Sullivan, but the governor's complaint is that the moderators are trying to stir things up. He was asked about his record, and he has every right to do this, but it was the governor stirring things up there, wasn't it?
Well, look, every candidate has to fight for their time, and we certainly understand that. There is a time and place for these things, John, but when you're talking about 18 more debates, particularly now as people are starting to think about heading to the polls, we're about 60 days away from votes being cast. The candidates need to spend time in Iowa doing those town halls, spending a lot more time with the voters who oftentimes have the best questions and press the candidates the hardest.
Do you have a number? You keep saying there's 18 on the books. I think you're right. There might be 100 on the books. There are 18 people want to plan. I think there are 12 that have been officially agreed to it. It's a crazy number, some people think. But do you have a number now? Have you guys decided we're going to be in these 2 or 3, but not the rest? Or are you still debating that?
I know for sure that November 9th on another network, we're going to participate in that. But look, we're taking each of these as they come, examining the schedule, examining the opportunities and the opportunity cost. And again, we recognize we need to be in Iowa and New Hampshire, South Carolina, Florida, Nevada, and talking to those voters and giving them a chance to exercise their responsibility to vet the candidates, to have town hall meetings, and to talk about the issues that are important to them.
Dana, Governor Huntsman tried that in the Nevada debate. He's wanted to voice his affinity for the people of New Hampshire. We've polled in New Hampshire since that debate, and let me just say kindly, it didn't work. And so my question is, in this environment, and I understand Ray's point, and the Governor Perry was the last candidate into the race, so he is newer to the voters in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and the like, and that's an important point. But right now, Rick Perry's in 4th place in Florida at 9%. He's tied for 4th in Iowa at 10% with Newt Gingrich. He's in 6th place in New Hampshire Hampshire at 4%, in fourth place in South Carolina at 11%. The question is just going and camping out in these states going to make the difference, or do you think it's a huge risk if he says, maybe I won't do the CNN Arizona debate, maybe I won't do maybe whether it's an NBC or Fox debate or ABC debate or anybody else's? How big is that risk with Herman Cain doing so well?
I don't think that Perry right now should be saying no to any debate. John Huntsman can, because John Huntsman's not going to win the nomination. He's like the Bill Paxton of politics. He and Tim Pawlenty and some of these other ones, they all look like the same person to me. But no, I don't think that Perry. I don't think that Perry can say no, because he's still. Again, you were right. He was late into this. He's missed a couple of debates already, and so he's playing catch up a little bit, because not a lot of people, and this was the same with Michelle Bachmann. A lot of people didn't know who Michelle Bachmann was until she announced she was running for president. She started participating in these debates. People got to know her record. The same thing is with Governor Perry. Texans know him, but a lot of the rest of Americans are still learning about his record and are still being introduced to him. So I don't think that he can say no. But really quickly, to his point about the media or whomever encouraging candidates to kind of cut each other down, it wasn't this network, but it was the debate before the last. It looked like a UHF set where they all sat around the table like that 70s show, and they kind of took pot shots at each other. And that, I thought, was they were doing the moderator's job then. So I think he had a point with that particular exchange, but he can't afford to say no to debates. He needs to keep at it.